Exclamation points can be so helpful in our professional writing, helping us show and create excitement and be friendly and connect with our readers. But is there a limit? Are there too many exclamation points? That's what we're going to get into today, and I'll tell you why we're talking about this topic. In the last week, I've had 2 live sets of learners, and this has come up in both of them. So I think a lot of us are wondering, how many exclamation points should I use? When should I use them? When should I leave them out of my professional writing or business writing? And so we're looking at whether we're using too many exclamation points, and here's how we'll break down the video today. What are the impacts, probably including impacts we intend and possible accidental impacts of exclamation points in the reader's interpretation, right? How many might we want to use? Should we limit ourselves or should we go all the way? And this is a weird one. This is where I'm going to want to hear from you. Does it make a difference who is using them? Do things like gender and culture influence how many exclamation points we might want to choose to use? That's what we're going to look into as we get through this video, and I'll be asking for your comments too. All right, let's get into the impacts. Of course, we're mainly using exclamation points even in business and professional writing, even sometimes in academic writing, to show enthusiasm. And I think most of the time, this tone comes through really well, gets interpreted how we meant it. Examples like, our new schedule starts Monday, join us Friday. Aaliyah shared a great new idea. In all these cases, we're showing enthusiasm, excitement. We're trying to create that enthusiasm among our readers. But we also might know a couple side impacts that could happen. Could seem like we're doing a power play, could seem like we're impatient in other uses. And this isn't the only risk, but we'll start here. Okay, make sure you submit this on time. We're still waiting on your metrics. The committee meets Tuesday. It's getting a little urgent, right? We don't want to do that to our reader. Most of us know what it's like to read something that feels aggressive, and we don't typically want to respond very happily, right? We might even get defensive. Another risk though, and this is what came up in my classes, do we sound overexcited when we use exclamation points really often? Now, this is actually an issue for me. I have had to start controlling my exclamation points. I get really excited about things, but I don't always want to come off as someone who is purely excited all the time, because I don't want it to make it seem like that's all I am. I'm just the enthusiastic girl, right? So therefore, I kind of limit it. My personal rule, and this is just personal, but you might want to think about for the people you write to, is there a good rule of thumb, as they say? I try to do 1 per paragraph. Well, no more than 1 per paragraph. Some of my paragraphs have no exclamation points, of course. But when I'm emailing somebody, I tell you, I end up wanting to use a lot of them. And I have to go back and take them out because I'll be kind of like, I hope you had a great weekend. I'm so excited to follow up on last week's meeting. I have so many ideas for the next workshop. I can't do that to the reader all the time. So I try to balance it. But more importantly than that, which is just an example of my personal rule of thumb for me, you want to think about all these factors. Who's your reader? Not only who they are as a person, their position, the relationship you hold with them, their culture, their industry culture. For example, I've mentioned it before, I'm not a very formal writer or speaker, but with certain clients, I need to be. When I'm talking with other teachers, if I'm writing to them, I'm probably going to leave my exclamation points there. But when I write to my more, I think, linguistically conservative clients in things like copyright law, where we just don't get expressive like that, it's a little more formal, I scale them back. I also scale them back when I'm writing to people in other cultures and other locations, if I'm not sure that it might seem overboard, right? If I use too many. So you want to think about all those factors as you're deciding. Who are your readers? Do you have the right relationship to use exclamation points? And then lastly, what do you want to show about yourself? And this will get us into the sort of sociology aspect of this video where I'd love to know your opinions. I worry personally that I sound over-enthusiastic, so I scale them back a little. It has to do with what persona you're trying to project. Usually we want to project enthusiasm, excitement, participation, but I worry that I could go overboard and not meet my goals if I sounded overly excited about every single thing. So it has to do with your strategy. Like everything in writing, I'm going to be strategic and use them to build relationships, connect with my reader, show that I care, but I'm going to scale back if I worry that it could sound aggressive, like I'm going after that person. Sometimes people tell me it sounds like yelling when they read a lot of exclamation points. Okay, so let's wrap this up with this really interesting societal question. While I was in one of my sessions, it came up in class. Hey, someone said, as a woman, I was told by a supervisor to use fewer exclamation points, that I sounded maybe too excited in a way that could sound girly. Whoa, so many things to think about here, right? Yeah, that can happen, right? People are creating a perception of us. It's up to us, though. How do we want to manage that? Maybe we want to say, my communication, whatever gender, race, group I'm from, is just fine, and I don't need to always code switch. I can just use my style. In other cases, I think, you know what? I am going to code switch. I am going to reduce the enthusiasm of this message because I'm writing to a more conservative client. So let me know, what generation are you from? What gender are you from? Where have you lived? What industries have you worked in? And have those factors impacted whether you use exclamation points and how you think people interpret them? Let me know. We'll talk soon. Have a great day.